Sylas. Obviously, the Talia also taken away here from Showmaker, so maybe we see something a little bit different in this mid lane.
LeBlanc still open.
Mm-hmm.
I think could be a ban to consider here for DAMWON Kia if they want to take that one away from Faker. We don't know what the matchup's going to be just yet, but something that we did see in the playoffs early on was Corki, who made a return. I don't think that really suits either of these compositions very well, especially with the Trundle being banned here. The Aatrox ban I like a lot more because this is essentially saying we're going to win Renekton topside here, and the bottom lane's going to be more stable for us as DAMWON. Don't want to give you guys the ability to actually duel out against a Renekton and win those mid-game fights with this Kalista. Want to weaken your power there. The Azir ban, a similar vein. But this does mean Sylas comes through. There's no Trundle on the other side. The Trundle was banned away, so I think a smart move from T1. No way to really duel around first objective very well right now in DAMWON's comp against this. Unless they can find another way to get mid-prio. And I do wonder what that's going to be for Showmaker here. We've seen the Lissandra work very well for him this season. We've seen Victor into the Sylas. Very middling success. This is the big question mark right now.
Danny's got something to say about that. Let's see what he has to say, because Showmaker has not said anything just yet. As this is not an easy decision. The LeBlanc can be pretty good into the Sylas, and it looks like that is what will be selected.
A lot of backline access is normally what you grab LeBlanc for, but T1's composition just in general has very high resistances. Oh, it's the old Quinn response to the Renekton to be hovered here. This would be very interesting. It would allow T1 to have 2 late game threats in terms of 80 range damage, but I like the Gnar here much more. I think as DAMWON, you want to win these fights early with LeBlanc, trying to not necessarily blows the backline up, but actually just add that extra chain CC, maybe threaten Gnar, prevent him from getting the Gnar bar up, stuff like that. But otherwise, this LeBlanc pick isn't threatening much. Like, Kalista is very survivable, and Sylas is very survivable. Wukong, not that squishy. So I think really is going to be about the laning phase. Can DAMWON Kia get ahead? Can they get those early objectives under their control? Can they buy a lot of time that way, get a cash in early for this Draven, and accelerate the game in their favor? If not, once again, I definitely have to throw my hat into the T1 ring in terms of who I think has the better draft here. Just like Game 1, DAMWON have a different approach to how they want to handle this meta, but it's high risk, and the coordination and the execution has to be very good and much better than it was in Game 1.
I do think that DAMWON, at least, if they get a snowball rolling, it can be very annoying to deal with this, right? Renekton on one item, you've got LeBlanc on one item, Draven on a couple. From ahead, there's a lot of ways to just be extremely annoying. The LeBlanc poke with the Draven we've seen before as well. Just looking for executes even before a game or a fight even really begins. So that can definitely happen. The side of T1, definitely a bit more all-in outside of boomerangs, you know, or Sylas stealing an ultimate or something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. On T1, though, they're basically fighting fire with this draft, and if they win, their comp snowballs, I think, even harder. So this is my biggest fear for DAMWON Kia is T1 actually winning those early skirmishes, getting a lead, and just like in Game 1, taking control of the whole map.
Could definitely happen. That is what happened in Game number 1. So let's see if T1 can do it again here as we hop onto the Rift for Game 2.
Remember Valdez? Oh, well, we don't have time to remember.
No remembering! Baker's getting in there. This is a fantastic composition to invade with, and they're looking for Bertle. Not really having much. Baker's tanking turret as well, looking for an angle, but not going to amount to anything outside of Bertle's flash, which is going to be very nice.
Yeah, DAMWON Kia were like looking at Showmaker. Are you feeling lucky? You think you can find him? Not going to be able to commit. This will mean DAMWON get vision around both jungle starts here for Owner, and if he had decided to start blue here, would find himself in a miserable position. He is not, of course, going to be doing that, and DAMWON will try to potentially set up a 3 buff for the Poppy here into the Wukong early. And they see him. Pings come down instantly. Uma just going to come over here and try to check this. But
yeah.
not really that much CC in this comp at level 1, so it's fine.
Yeah, just going to be Canyon picking this one up. Good information for T1 at least.
Well, I was going to ask you if you remembered, which I know you do. It was a rhetorical question I was going to ask. Remember when it was quirky as year at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
This is the exact opposite of that. Is fight all the time, fight aggressively. Every lane is supposed to win on both teams. Speaking of, we're like still fighting potentially here.
Yeah, so level 2 here. Looks like Owner pretty confident to take this with the red buff. But Phase Rush going to be very nice for Poppy to just say no to that fight.
And T1's gamble on the level 1's nearly leading to a kill on a Birdle, grab his flash, which is quite significant. But right now, Canyon, the biggest recipient, the biggest winner of this exchange at the moment. Bottom side prio here, level 2 hit first for DAMWON and Kellen. This is a very annoying lane to play out now as Guma. Obviously, once he hits level 2, still a little bit more power there, but the level 1 is where you want.
Yeah, and Silas nowadays, the laning phase it was never really where he looked for his power, unless you're in like solo queue or something like that, potentially, but even then. As Faker is going to be poked out just a bit, and Showmaker has a hefty amount of LeBlanc games under his belt as well. Not quite the number that Faker has, but still 30 games of experience in the LCK alone.
Owner's going to come up here and potentially try to punish this extra prio setup that Showmaker's looking for. I mean, he's damaging the turret plate, but he's vulnerable.
Faker definitely trying to sell it here a bit, but no distortion does come in, and so Showmaker's totally fine.
Yep, doesn't commit to the distortion, so only easy, and there's unfortunately no follow-up CC from Faker there or Owner with level 6. So, not a successful gank, but it does relieve some of the pressure, allows Faker to back here. Canyon's coming over one more time. Does not actually commit to his blue buff here, wants to set up for a potential dive. Or catch a Wukong coming over here to set up defensively.
Yeah, I think they did spot Canyon coming in here, as Canyon will be spotted now, and they're just going to engage onto him as in comes the rest of the team, but immediately, you're already so deep in here, and DuckDom takes 2 turret shots. Keria will not even go down, and a disaster for DAMWON Kia. T1 reads him like a book and wins this early game.
Could have just backed off and taken his blue buff and taken a 3-buff start and been very happy with the lead he had while they already had bottom prio. This draft is better from ahead, but you're the side that has the LeBlanc, you're the side that has the Renekton, that's going to naturally start to win out against this Gnar in the lane. They tried to force this so hard, and 2 kills over to the Kalista on DAMWON's play is just a disaster.
Yeah, Canyon really trying to force these ganks to happen. Zeus looks like he knows this is coming. Can he get out of this one is the question. He's just going to hop onto his minion.
Steadfast is so early, he gets the hop.
I mean, it's Canyon with no buffs because he just died, right? So it's like, oh, okay. And he's not even farming. Definitely feeling a bit desperate here for the DAMWON Kia jungler.
Just really forced, unfortunately. And I get the idea, you had a lead from T1's, level 1 not going the way they wanted it to, but this is just really aggressive. With the ward here, Karius just instantly bandage tosses him, and then DuckDom tanks turret shots here on the dive. That's the end of it. Like, there's nothing else to explain here. It was a call that was made, and Kellen will lose his flash as well.
Yeah.
The damage is high at this stage, obviously on the Amumu, or rather on the Draven, but not that high.
Keria having a great time, by the way. He was smiling in game number 1, and now even, shouting, oh, I'm going to live, or maybe he was saying I was going to die. I don't know, it was too loud, but then he gave us the thumbs up and the good. He's having a good time, and he should be. Things are going very well for him and his partner down here on the bottom side in the bottom lane. And, yeah, Owner just here once again, right there for his team. You see that the Draven is going to get ahead in CS, but it's not going to make up for the 2 kills that Guma has.
Yeah, he'll need a cash out before we can start talking about him reaching parity. Does have a small experience lead here too, so it's not all for naught, and he will still be able to control this lane. But the unfortunate truth is that T1 have such a massive amount of gold on this Kalista now that the Draven won't be able to keep up in these mid-game fights. And that's kind of the tipping point for both of these teams is who wins those first few objective fights. The first Drake fight, or if there isn't one, who gets the Drake and who gets the Herald. So you can see it's a 4-2 right now. Guma, 3 of those wins on this Draven.
Boy. Storson gonna miss, but the chains will hit as trying to steal a Poppy ult, but that's not going to land. Just kind of just dash through as Canyon is on the follow here. Will flash as well, but Owner is right nearby. Can Faker live? The Kingslayer at the last moment does the flash in from Showmaker will secure the kill. As now you've got Bertol coming in from the top lane, actually, and now Owner's in a bit of trouble. Trying to get this kill onto a Poppy, not going to happen at low health, and DK are able to pull off 2 kills here for Showmaker.
Yeah, Owner was, I don't think, even really very close to level 6. You see Canyon's only halfway through his experience right now on that regard. If he had 6, of course, you could turn this around very well. I thought it was a cool attempt, but he ends up getting trapped there as DAMWON Kia are ready to pull the trigger, and DAMWON now 2 kills on one of their carries here. The LeBlanc getting very far ahead of the Sylas here. Faker gets caught out. And now this game gets a lot more interesting. So we have 2 strong points for these 2 teams. So I think the Kalista are going to look a little bit better at this stage for those first few objectives. But LeBlanc getting sped up quite significantly towards her later parts of this game. And gets Luden, has a lot of extra poke potential here in setting up fights. And just like that, the game can turn on a knife's edge. DAMWON Kia take a slight gold lead here.
Yeah, it means that the LeBlanc hits a 1-item power spike extremely early on, and I think it's going to be in the hands of Showmaker to really try to make this early game theirs.
Canyon's charge there stops him from using the ult against him, as Faker has obviously level 6 advantage. Owner comes over, and the Kingslayer heals him up, but it's a flash from Showmaker to secure the kill, as Owner continues to go back in here and gets chained and knocked into the wall. This was not the fight Owner was looking for, unfortunately. Very optimistic, especially considering that Zeus did not come down. Owner was there. If he did, it would have been even worse, I think. But kind of an odd choice by Owner to decide to not walk away from that loss and try to turn it around.
Yeah, it was definitely a very close play. A little bit of a risky one there. But either way, big rotation now up to the first Rift Herald, which has been the name of the game here. For these 2 teams. We had a huge fight break out in game number 1. Take a look at the vision control right now from T1. Yeah, it is insanely in the lead for them.
Owner has 6 now, and he is unseen on a control ward. They all committed to control ward buys here to make sure they could spring traps, but DAMWON Kia playing this very patiently, clearing out the bottom side of the vision. Now Faker's isolated a little bit.
Yeah, Carrier looking to come in. He's going to find Duck Dom, looking for that big mummy trap as he will force the cleanse and the flash out of Duck Dom, but a huge whirling death from behind is going to secure a kill for him. As now fighting front to back though, Guma pretty fed, looking for that damage. Faker will be able to pick up the kill, and the chase is still on. This team can chase so easily with this comp as Flash comes in, looking for Duck Dom, who is flashless. But did you go too far? The answer looks to be yes, as Showmaker with a blue buff is looking to get in there. Faker still trying to zone for his team and will take down Duck Dom with a huge coup, still alive and even zones away. Showmaker, who's trying to scout here with his clone, but will not be able to follow up.
Yeah, not going to be able to get close enough to Faker to take him out. Canyon does have Hex Flash, but no regular Flash. Isn't going to be chasing him down either. Birdall teleports mid, and the Herald was not taken in all of this, so looking to actually have a bit of a teleport war here of attrition as we see this wave shoved through from Birdall so they can actually get onto this one. Canyon does not back. He's super low and might have to smite here early. I think Birdall should be able to pull the aggro away from him. Looks like he will be fine, but still, T1, you have to be aware of the fact that they can rotate into this choke point. They don't have control vision there, but Kellen's set up, and they will take this one away. Very close fight there, but I think the Kalista lead actually being so huge for T1.
This is what the LeBlanc can do already. Well, not even on the Ludens. Thought I saw its proc there, but I guess it must have been the electrocute. Either way, still an insane amount of damage already in this game.
Yeah, this fight for T1 was so forced, I think, based on the angle that the Cyclone was set up for, and the damage is real here. Like, they don't get the combo they were looking for with the Curse of the Sad Mummy, but they still just have so much raw damage in skirmishes with the Kalista, with the Sylas. Like, DAMWON Kia don't really have a mid lane that could do that same sort of damage output long-term at this stage in the game, but then they chase a little bit too far here. DAMWON Kia will trade back some kills and grab the Rift Herald. Very close fight, however, that I think T1, despite the engage not being perfect for them, I mean, it was very good. Still, they end up winning the fight. Not enough health bars there at the end to secure Herald, which will go into DAMWON's favor. So still a very close game at this stage.
Yeah, although we're looking to get on top of a Braum here. Kellen doesn't have anything, so he looks to be dead. Oh, he has a stopwatch. Missed that one. Might be able to save him as Guma is going to pull the Ren. And actually, it's Keria who is taken out. That's another kill as this game is going a little bit off the rails as Guma now on the run. As this Kalista flashed on in from Canyon with the slow. Should be able to select that kill as Faker not quite able to lock down another for himself.
Yeah, you know, this is what these two compositions are looking to do, is to fight all the time, fight nonstop. They both have high damage and the burst, plus good CC, especially in T1's composition here. So the fighting and the skirmishing nonstop is what T1 want to do, but I think they also need to respect a little bit of the power in DAMWON's comp defensively, especially when they give some extra time.
Dominus here on the top side. Zeus is getting pretty low, not quite at that Mega Gnar. He's trying to make it happen, and actually, in the Mini Gnar will just be able to walk it out.
We'll survive here. Trade of the, well, I guess no ultimate expired here for Zeus, but we'll get Birdall's Dominus, but he wins out in the exchange, and we'll be able to push this wave in. First Drake still not taken. We're reaching the 13-minute mark here, just like game one. A very late first Drake, but DAMWON should now have enough control over the map to do said Drake, as they have vision control on both top and bottom of it, and Duckdom is going to have this extra push. And they did not see the Gnar backing. Zeus has teleport. So still a lot of considerations here on the map for DAMWON Kia. They can't just start this up because it's very tanky now. Birdall will need to be here if they want to take a 5v5, but they had so much control and they really didn't use it here. This is the kind of stuff we were criticizing DAMWON for against KT.
This one's pretty close. That smite is used early from Owner, trying to burst that one down so they don't even have the scuttle vision. Vision control taken by DAMWON. And very scary, as you mentioned, on both sides. You can pull the trigger and you can engage if you want to. So for T1 without vision, they're like, oh, well, we can't really enter that river right now, especially without Mega Gnar, which Zeus is trying to build up at this point in time. As the Rift Herald will go in full money here for Canyon, as the LeBlanc will not be further boosted.
Yeah, DAMWON still just trying to get a little bit more vision here instead of actually starting the Drake up, despite the damage they have in this composition. I mean, the shield bow's been done for a while here for Duckdom, and he's Draven. He has a lot of stats. He does a lot of single target damage. Just wants to continue to build up some more stacks over here, sitting on 61 as he pushes this through. And DAMWON are just saying, I don't want to start a fight first because your comp is also good at skirmishing, and if we use any cooldowns or lose any health on the Drake, that might just do us in. Even if we have this immense amount of vision control around that part of the map, you're joking about the Corki Azir handshake. This is like the Draven Kalista sword clash, you know? Like this, both of these teams want to fight all the time, and fights like this where looks like you have the jump on a support, but he has stopwatch, and then you're like, oh man, DAMWON Kia also have a ton of damage. Watch this Amumu just disappear. It's crazy how much damage the Draven has. You have to respect that. The stopwatch buys just enough time for him to get there. And you can see just how variable these fights are. The volatility of these two drafts when they clash is so insanely high, and that's why this game is so high kill so early here, and why DAMWON, despite having insane vision control, do not start up that first Mountain Drake, which is now at 15 minutes, still untaken.
It looks like Keria is clearing vision. I've got my eye on that objective now. Very curious to see when that one is going to go down. The Amumu at this point obviously cannot solo it, so that's not going to happen. The top lane looks like Birdall taking more and more aggressive trades, which means that, you know, he has been able to gather himself a slight CS victory here, which is pretty common for the Renekton, as now T1 setting up for the Drake. Looks like they do want to make a potential try at it. Maybe they'll just clear vision and back away again.
Yeah, I mean, that is what it looks like. This Renekton pick doesn't have first item just yet. Still having some trouble putting the pressure onto Zeus' Gnar. We haven't really mentioned it. The Gnar pick, we liked it in the draft, but it is important to note that it has fallen off massively, but it is also Zeus' Gnar. And only players like Zeus, I think, would be confident enough to pull this one out into a Renekton. He's landing super well.
Ooh, nice Everfrost as the trade heavily taken by Faker, or was it a bait all along? The Poppy alone can't really force that further trade. Stopwatch available here for Faker as well. And yeah, you know, in the draft, it does feel like T1 are playing a little bit of, you know, patch 12.10 or 12.11, you know, the Silas Nar coming back out. It's pretty interesting to see. I think Zay's on his Nar. I mean, able to do stuff like this. He nearly was able to get that last auto. Don't think it would have killed, but still. DAMWON are just going to finally collect this Drake.
So after pushing Canyon back, they knew they had jungle control top side there. Zayas has the range advantage, wants to build up his Narbar, and they look for a gank onto the Renekton. But the second they pull the trigger top side, DAMWON Kia spring onto the Drake bottom side. So DAMWON reading the map very well here. Had so much vision control still of this bottom objective. Now trying to rush over here and deny.
Is still available, so that's a Nar gone. And this is getting pretty low. Canyon in smite range, and it goes to Canyon as well. The fight here looking to be taken, but the bandage is going to miss from Carrier. They're still trying to get on top of this Renekton as the dominance taken here by Faker, and he will survive for quite a long period of time. As in goes Showmaker, he's going to collect that one very sneakily on the backside of that fight.
Dom's getting a turret.
Yeah, so that's a full turret for him as Showmaker is going to be so slippery here. So still this game very much on a knife's edge.
It really is. DAMWON Kia walk away with the eye and a turret, but T1 getting the kill. Still walking away with a victory here in terms of getting that extra gold from the kill, but what it means on the map for DAMWON Kia, who already have a lead in Drake, I think they definitely went out on this exchange. And had Duckdom been there, I think there's a real world where they crushed that fight, but he was already kind of halfway committed to taking down turrets, so he decides to stay for that. Notice how late he is to this fight. He doesn't have teleport like Faker does, so I feel like Faker can actually join into this fight right away. By the time Duckdom gets here, he's like probably too late, so decides to back away. As soon as the fight goes south and DAMWON Kia try to retreat, he instantly makes the call to push mid. You can see that there on the minimap as Birdall. Yeah, he's chain CC'd. DAMWON Kia want to maybe turn this one around, but without their Draven, they cannot make it happen. And T1 would have just retreated topside if he had rotated over. So the eye, we'll see where that ends up getting dropped. It was picked up by the LeBlanc, so she'll get some value out of a turret if she does get it down. You do, of course, have plates on.
And just throw out bot, and that's going to be two turrets taken already by the side of DAMWON Kia. That's a huge amount of map control, and in games that are this close, it's so fantastic to get big vision leads like that early on.
They zoned Faker out as well from these minions. He couldn't come out down here and get any of that stuff. They almost stopped his back too, and this might just be an extra charge. Look at the defensive setup they have on the bottom side of the jungle here. There's no way for T1 to come over here easily and contest without really forcing, which means that Draven gets free mid push, even if they take this Herald out. Which they do, but Duckdom gets a little bit more control here, and T1 just barely hold this off without any losses. Minus the turret itself, like past the first turret, and just barely defend.
This top lane still being defended by Birdall. He has not let go of that one just yet. The CS numbers more even at this point in time. Zeus has been more and more annoying after completing his Trinity Force already. He does have a nice, about 1,000 gold in the lead for himself. Really, a big chunk of DAMWON Kia's gold lead was in the jungle, where we did see Canyon about almost like 2,000 gold ahead of his opponent in Owner.
So let's talk about how these two team comps are going to collapse into each other later on in the game. Like we're already 20 minutes in. It feels like we're trapped in early game because of the amount of skirmishing we've had and stuff because of these two comps. So we haven't really seen a straight up 5v5 fight. They've been crazy fights for early objectives, or just fights, of course, around skirmishes on top side or bottom side, ganks gone wrong, etc. What both of these comps have are a lot of damage with very low range. Obviously, LeBlanc is the exception to the rule here because she can do damage with her Ludens and can do damage from far away and try to assassinate somebody. But that's going to rely on a little bit of vision control for DAMWON Kia, which they've been good about on objectives. Haven't been able to get deep wards because this game is so close. But then also what the fights will happen in these fights besides the low range damage is how that is set up via CC. And I think T1 have the far superior set of that between the Amumu ult, Cyclone, Gnar, and Silas, who has Everfrost. So in terms of how everything has happened so far, we're still sitting at only a 400 lead for DAMWON, which is now no longer the case with that turret going down bottom side. It's very even, like we're basically dead even in terms of gold. I think T1's comp is much easier to pull off in the later parts of the game. And we'll see how these fights do end up looking because DAMWON Kia kind of coasting through this with a nice LeBlanc 2-0-2. Draven getting that cash out early. Has a lot of gold himself, picked up a collector early. But will they be able to team fight in a straight-up 5v5 when T1 have so many options for CC is the real question. And I think Showmaker is going to have to be the difference maker. He's going to have to be the one who threatens the backline and has to maybe threaten the Kalista once or twice, or try to bring the Gnar low while he's trying to set up for his Gnar bars. Stuff like that is what DAMWON Kia need in terms of X Factor here, because their CC in terms of wombo and straight-up fights, not as good as what T1 have to offer. Their single target is insane.
Yeah, I have a lot of my faith in Showmaker, who's nearing this Shadow Flame already, right? Like, he's already doing his job very nicely, just hopping in, poking damage. Now, DuckDom can't get caught like this, as Faker is looking to just take him down. DuckDom will flash away, but Kellen looks to bite the dust. As Ingo saves as well, looking for the kill onto the 80 carry, and he will be able to pick it up as another crazy skirmish breaks out here. Showmaker picks up a kill onto the Gnar, who dove. Also, Canyon goes in and takes out the Gnar, so turns once again into a bit of an even trade, but T1 with the slight victory.
Yeah, T1 with the slight advantage, and that might be enough to grab the second Drake of the game here. Showmaker looking for some poke. Chains won't hit. This is still a very difficult fight to take here against T1 because they have a Kalista, and she's going to be doing massive damage here, 3v2. Canyon just looking for a steal and walk away.
Yeah, might be able to, as nope, it's going to be Kalista with the Rend pull at the end of the day, as now on the chase here. It doesn't look like Uma will continue after getting Chilling smited.
And we colloquially call that the second smite here in League of Legends because of how much damage it does when you pull that out. And it was a tough steal attempt there from Canyon, but really at no risk to him, so might as well go for it. As this is just the CC I was talking about for T1 at work here. Kellen will go down. Zeus has an amazing set of plays here, or, dive CC setups to try to kill DuckDom with burst damage. He is picked. They also do collapse here with Birdall onto Faker and trade one more kill back there. But T1 trade up, they grab the Drake. And again, this is still not a 5v5 fight per se. It's a very big skirmishy one.
Yeah.
But Showmaker, I mean, the more money he gets, the more of an impact he makes, and he still hasn't died yet. He's still ahead of the curve right now. And I'm liking the threat that he could put off in this game, as you were saying. He's already doing his job very well. But he can't be giving these Drakes over to T1 if he can help it.
And this has got to stop happening for DuckDom. He's just going to die. Like, this is just him getting picked so many times. He's died 4 times. And that's just a free Baron now for T1. I mean, it's an excellent pick once again. T1 are finding every single angle.
Yeah, and it's a flash Gnar. From far away, you think you're safe. You're not safe. Not against this composition.
There's just too many threats, as you were saying. There's just too many ways to get on top of DAMWON. And T1 are playing this out beautifully. Canyon trying to get close, but he just gets a moo-mooed in the face. And that will be T1 securing the Baron.
So that's another objective going down after a mid-tussle goes up in T1's favor. And it's kind of funny considering that the turret that's still up for DAMWON in the mid lane, I think is why they have felt safe to farm like this. But the turret has actually kept the wave in such a space where T1 could threaten more.
A little bit of a play here as the Braum is knocked away, and T1 are turning this one around. Huge Cyclone onto the both of them on the second application, as that is going to be enough. Zeus is going deep now, and he is so tanky with all this gold and the Baron buff. This game was so close, and now it is so one-sided. T1 are just pushing down the mid lane and taking lives.
They have Baron still, and they're going to push even further here, I think. Maybe take out an inhibitor. I mean, we're 25 minutes into the game. It doesn't feel like it because it feels like it's just been a non-stop early game. We could never get out of mid. T1 are like, I think we might be able to get even more here.
And Showmaker's like, man, what do I got to do? Like, like 3-0-3 on the LeBlanc, just not able to do enough. Tries to get a double distortion, immediately goes into the stopwatch, and that might be his demise, actually. As he does get the 1 kill, and T1 are just continuing. As it is a little bit risky, but at the end of the day, with the Baron buff, it should just be enough. They're going to target down this Nexus and end again in 25 minutes. T1, they weren't winning, and then all of a sudden, they were dominating.
And it's right as we were talking about the CC and the setups they have and the hard engage that T1 has. You play around that mid-turret. DAMWON Kia felt so safe on that mid-turret. Both of those plays, they were like, oh, we've got the extra turret damage. That should be enough, right? That should deter them from diving. Gnar, he's not that tanky. He's tanky enough, and the single target damage with this pick, the Kalista, is massive. You will just die. You will get then followed up by an Amumu. You will get followed up on by a Sylas. The damage is so high, you are never safe under your turret